Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Monday, the 6th day of March in the year 2023. This is a City Council Caucus meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. We had a scheduled 4 p.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing 4:03 p.m. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this caucus? Councilperson Ridley.
She's here. She'll be ready.
Okay. Councilperson Prinzeri.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Here.
Councilperson Saleh.
Here.
Councilperson Solomon.
Here.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Present.
Councilperson DeGise.
Here.
Councilperson Rivera. And Council President Waterman.
Here.
Okay, we have all 9 council members present at 4:03 p.m. On behalf of Council President Waterman, in accordance with New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall, the annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2023, and filed in the office of the City Clerk on Thursday, December 15, 2022. In addition, at its time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, March 3rd, 2023 at 3:20 p.m. to the Municipal Council, Mayor, Business Administrator, Corporation Council, and local newspapers, and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Council President, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our first director is Director Kears.
Good afternoon, President Warden, members of the
Good
City
afternoon.
Council. I have 6 items before you today. First is Resolution 23-180, 10-33. This resolution will authorize a temporary encumbrance of $20,000 associated with the renewal of an open contract to Ken's Marine Service Incorporated to provide citywide snow, salting, and plowing services. Contract period will cover from January 13, 23 through January 24th, 24. And we bring them in to supplement our operation should we have a large-scale event. Next one is Resolution 23-181, 10-34. Resolution will authorize renewal of a contract with Sims Municipal Recycling of New York, LLC, for the disposition of commingled recycled materials. This contract was initially approved under Resolution 21036 on January 13, 2021, in the amount of $1.6 million. This resolution will authorize a 1-year renewal for the cost of $800,000.
Sorry, Director, I apologize. You just mentioned Ken's Marines. That's the snow contract?
They're a supplement. They supplement.
I just wanted to confirm, have we spent anything on that contract this year?
Not yet. No, fortunately, we haven't had any snow.
Yeah. So it just that helps our budget, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. That's all.
23-182, 1035. The resolution will authorize a award of a contract to Hoffman Services Incorporated for the purchase, delivery, and installation of a Mohawk vehicle lift to our Educational Services Commission for New Jersey. Total amount of this contract is $42,028.70. As we absorb the parking authority vehicles and we're doing majority of our auto maintenance repair in-house, we need this lift to supplement what we have now. Resolution 23-183, 1036. Resolution will authorize the award of a contract to Northeast Sweepers and Rentals for the purchase and delivery of parts and repair services for the Ravo street sweepers through the Keystone Purchasing Network. Total cost of this contract is $100,000, with the resolution authorizing a temporary encumbrance of $15,000.
Are these the street sweepers we just bought, or are they?
No, these are the ones we will be replacing when we get the second delivery. These are the smaller ones, the vacuum type sweepers. They're not as efficient as the mechanical sweepers. So once we get them in, we'll salvage probably 1 or 2 of them to use for parking areas and things like that. And then we'll just put the other ones up for auction.
Okay.
23-184, 1037. This resolution will authorize the award of a contract to Lawson Products Incorporated, provide various parts and supplies required by the Division of Automotive Services through the U.S. Communities Government Purchasing Alliance. Total amount of this contract is $44,000, with this resolution authorizing a temporary encumbrance of $5,000. And the last is 23-185, 10.38. Resolution will authorize the award of a contract to R.J. Sherman and Associates Incorporated, DBA Vermeer, North Atlantic Sales and Service, to purchase and deliver various parts and heavy-duty repairs for heavy-duty vehicles. Total amount of the contract is $43,000 with a temporary encumbrance of $15,000. This company does replacement springs on fire trucks and things of that nature. Thank you very much.
Good.
Good afternoon, Council. I'm here to present two resolutions. Ordinance 10.31, resolution number 23-178. And this is a resolution to extend the contract with New Pathway Counseling Services for the term of 3 months, January through March of 2023, for $12,000. Okay, the next one is item number 10-32, resolution number 23-179. This is the actual award to New Pathway Counseling Services for the annual EAP service for this year. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council President, Council members. My name is Lucinda McLaughlin, Director of the Department of Recreation and Youth Development. I'm before you today on just one item, file number resolution 23-158, agenda item 10-11, which is a resolution authorizing an agreement between the city and a recreational facility management platform called Facilitron. It's a online system that's going to assist us with our field permits and rentals and make it a lot more user-friendly. As you all know, we lost Joe Mackey through a retirement, and Joe Mackey has this in his brain for the past 27 years. So we need a little assist to get us both into the 21st century and to make sure that we're on top of it.
Lucinda, where are we with the ice skating ring?
So Councilman, I was just discussing with Director Patel. We have a road ahead of us, but we've identified a funding source, which is very important because there's going to be a lot of funds needed for that. We are waiting to hear back from one company with a just sort of first round of what they think equipment-wise we might be able to salvage versus what needs to be completely replaced. And ultimately, we're going to be having someone assigned directly from engineering to work as a partner. It is something that's going to have to go out to bid. We've been talking to lots of rinks all over, all over the East Coast, and we know what we are going to need, and we're going to make sure we do it. And we're looking for the 2023 winter to be back up and running. It's a big project, though, Councilman.
Please get it done because people are really annoyed about it.
I am aware, sir, and we need to do it right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Lucinda, I do have a question with regards to, I think this flyer, and I just want to make sure that it is accurate and then it's not misinformation on it. This summer camp flyer, it said there will be 3 2-week sessions and that there will be $300 per session per kid.
Yes, sir. For a non-low to moderate income family, someone who qualifies as low to moderate income would have a half of that price. But yes, sir.
I would like to have a just additional me because people was asking me and I ain't know nothing about it. So I thought that it wasn't true. So I would just follow up to get.
All right, Councilman, I'd be pleased to go through the amount of monies that we as a city expend on certain things. The 100% subsidization of things of a recreational and parks nature is just really not sustainable. We've known that since the city's master plan a few years ago, and we have to do better with it, right? So identifying appropriate subsidy levels is certainly a challenge. I'm happy to go through the numbers with you.
Okay.
Thank you, Council.
Good afternoon, Council President and council members. I'm here tonight to present Resolution 23-169, item 10.22 on your agenda. It's a resolution awarding professional services agreement to Netrit, Deneen, and Hillman to provide defense services related to workers' compensation claims that are filed. Each case will be awarded $1,500 per case and $1,500 for any protracted litigation. Total amount of the contract is $50,000. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Charles Mays Jr., Acting Director of Division of Environmental Health. I'm here to present Resolution 23-164, Item 1017, to resolution accepting New Jersey DCA amendment to the Municipal Lead Abatement Grant. It's to be extended to September 30th, 2023. The original amount is $488,382.
I have a few questions with regards to is this, you said 1017?
Yes, it says on here, it's on this one, sis. I think the numbers are off.
Is this with the lead?
Lead, yes, lead abatement grant.
Now, if you know, this is the state mandate, correct?
Yes.
Do we know when the state mandate came down and how long these?
No, it's not about the state mandate. It's about the lead burden children that they send us. These are families of lead burden children who need abatement for their homes, and this supplies funds for them. Those are two different things.
Oh, this is, okay, yeah, this.
Yeah, it's two different things.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Council President, council members. I have two items for you today. Resolution 10.12, Resolution 23-159. A resolution from the Jersey City Municipal Council directing the Planning Board to study and recommend amendments to the Powerhouse Arts District redevelopment plan. So these were changes that were discussed with Councilman Solomon to have the Planning Board look at the structure of the nonprofit organization that would govern the theater in the Powerhouse Arts District. We discussed it. Next one is Resolution 23-160. It's a resolution authorizing the acceptance of the 2023 Hudson County History Partnership Program Grant Award. That's for $11,000, and that would go towards programming in 2023 at the Apple Tree House in coordination with the Museum of Jersey City History at Apple Tree House.
Good afternoon, Council President and City Council. I have two items on the agenda for you tonight. The first item is Resolution 23161, 10.14, a resolution authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding with the Jersey City Housing Authority, permitting the City of Jersey City to use JCHA facilities to host a senior congregate meals program. This is an update of a previous agreement before the pandemic, so we're updating some terms between the two entities. The second item is Resolution 23-162, 10.15. This is a resolution authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding with Grace Van Voorst Church, permitting the City of Jersey City to use the church's facilities to host the senior citizen lunch program. This is also an updated MOU with Grace.
Good afternoon, Council President and City Council. I have one resolution for you all today. It is Resolution 23-163, and it is to authorize the city to apply for the 2023 Summer Meals Program. This year, it is going to run from July 5th through August 25th and expected to serve about 3,000 kids a day. Thank you.
Yeah. I think he's there.
Good afternoon, council. So there's three of us, so it's three of us are all going to do different things. One I'm doing is 1026. That's a resolution authorizing an acceptance of park furniture from Infinity High School for Columbia Park. I would love to talk to you about the project that we did with Infinity High School at length, but I won't because I know time is precious. So I can answer any questions, but I will say that the high school students who worked on this project were phenomenal. They won a national grant and they got money, and based on a project that they did, they decided that they wanted some places for particularly high school girls to go sit down and socialize in an outdoor space where they felt safe. So we're really proud of them, really excited to work on a project like this for planning. And that's really all that this is. I have Maggie O'Neill and Liz Oper to deal with two other ordinances that are on this evening.
Hello, Council. This is Liz Oper on Ordinance 23021, item number 3.3. An ordinance adopting amendments to the Liberty Harbor North redevelopment plan to the permitted use and building type for a portion of block 15907. This amendment focuses on block 24 of the redevelopment plan, block 15907. A portion of the block is currently vacant. That vacant portion of the block is currently zoned to require hotel use and is classified as an L-class building, permitting a height of 16 stories and a penthouse. Proposed amendments include expanding permitting uses to include residential, so that would trigger the IZO, and changing the building classification to an XL class, which would permit 32 stories plus a cupola. That would just be for the vacant portion of the block. The petitioner is in attendance tonight, should you have any questions specific for them, but I can field other questions as well.
I just want to, I spoke with the developer, but I just want the record to reflect. So the parking, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this is how I understood it. The parking ratio will remain the same despite the change of the use of the building?
Yeah, so the parking, currently the parking is oversized for the Vantage Towers. Their base permits, it has 200 parking spaces already accommodated within it that will serve this building. Yeah, there's parking that's already built on site, just in the adjacent property, and whatever development is developed on this vacant site will utilize parking within that structure. It's already there.
If the hotel would have went up, would that still have been a situation?
Yes. Else?
I mean, is anyone here to kind of brief us on the legal issues at stake here? I know, Corporation Counsel, you were getting up to speed.
Yes, I'm still waiting to get that information. I will let you know then before Wednesday. I can get that to you tomorrow because this is not city litigation strictly, so.
Understood. Okay. That's fine. We can talk about it before Wednesday. All right, let me just have one more thing. I do think it's worth making sure the council's on the same page before Wednesday. They're briefed as well on everything.
Yes, I agree.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, council members. I am here on ordinance 23-020, item 3.2, an ordinance adopting the 244 Bay Street redevelopment plan. This redevelopment plan was adopted by the HPC at their November 14th meeting and was adopted by the planning board on its January 24th, 2023 meeting. 244 Bay Street is the former Jersey City Fire headquarters and is also the former headquarters of the Gong Club. The city is looking to sell the property, so we are looking to implement a redevelopment plan prior to that sale. This building is individually listed on the local, state, and national registers of historic preservation in the Harsmas Cove Historic District and is currently zoned as H. It's a pretty small.
Maggie,
Yes.
Maggie, could you speak up? Because you know, as you speak and you keep hearing that, Dad.
I do. It's very distracting. Sorry about that. The site is pretty small. It's 25 by 75 and directly faces the pedestrian plaza right next to the Keyhole Bar. The redevelopment plan objectives are pretty straightforward. They want to rehab the building, put a new use in it because it is currently vacant. Objective D specifically says to promote the inclusion of commercial uses, which are not currently permitted under H zoning for this. Most of the redevelopment plan is pretty straightforward. There is no residential permitted on the ground floor because, again, we want commercial uses in that ground floor, activating that part of the pedestrian plaza. They only permit residential on the second and third floors, but of course, commercial space is permitted up there as well. Because it's a small site that is almost entirely built out, there is no rear yard additions permitted, no rooftop additions permitted, and there is no parking permitted. If there are any council member questions on this specific.
Yeah, Maggie, I'll tell you, what a disgrace they chased the gun club out of there. They were there for what, 75 years, part of the history of Jersey City, and the city moved them out. It's a shame what they did.
Any more questions? Any questions?
Yeah, so I think similarly to the lot, I think it was 176 or 175 Newark Avenue. I mean, I would like to amend a certain portion of this. So what we, I think, did on that lot was we allowed for commercial uses on the ground floor, but we said that residential would be required above the ground floor, and that any residential, whether it met the 15-unit mark or not, would have to meet the inclusionary zoning requirements. And basically, you know, this is city-owned land. We have a dearth of affordable housing in the city and in downtown. And, you know, I don't want to sell city-owned land without having affordable units, and just meeting the 15%, I think, inclusionary zoning requirement, I think makes sense. And I think we worked with Director Marion on doing that for the Newark Avenue site. And so I would like to see that on this site.
So I can't speak specifically to 176 Newark because, of course, it's not part of the historic district. But I do believe the hope here is that we get some commercial uses in those second and third floors. I've personally been through the building. A commercial use based on the existing layouts of those buildings, it would be much more suited towards that. Tanya, I don't know if there's.
We can add that as a, if residential is.
Tanya.
I think
We can add that just like we did with 174, that if residential is proposed, that it, I guess, was it 15%?
Yeah, but I think there's a difference of if versus when, and I'd have to go back to the language, but I think the challenge is if you say if, you're sort of incentivizing a full commercial building. And I think if the recommendation is this should be a full commercial building, then maybe we should have meetings on it. I just know when this came to council for us sending it to planning board, you know, what I'm saying now is what I said then, right? Which is that we want affordable housing in any city-owned land, and we don't want to give up those opportunities. If I think it either has to be you must put residential above the second floor, and it has to meet the inclusionary zoning requirements, or we're saying this really should be a commercial-only building, and then if there are specific reasons for that, I'd love to meet and discuss it to understand why.
Great. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
we'll just take a look at it. That's not a problem.
Okay, great.
Maggie, listen, I'm not picking on you with the Gun Club, but too much of our history in this city is being destroyed by people coming into this city, calling the shots and destroying the history of Jersey City, which is the oldest city actually in the United States. And it's a shame. And I've spoken to you many times, and it's got to stop.
Okay.
But I'm not picking on you, Maggie.
Great. Thank you all.
Danny? Hi, Danny.
Hi. Good afternoon, council members. I'm here to present two resolutions. The first item is resolution number 23-148, agenda number 10.1. This is a resolution authorizing additional funding for day-to-day operations / contractual obligations within the 2023 temporary budget.
Questions?
The second item is resolution number
Wait a
23.
minute, Danny, they pulling up their notes. Give them a
Okay.
second here.
So so I understand with the temporary budget, it seems to be mostly operating expenses that are being increased?
That is correct. These are all contractual obligations.
Okay, so it's all fulfilling contracts?
Correct. For citywide operations.
Okay, thanks.
The second item is resolution number 23149, agenda number 10.2, is a resolution authorizing calendar year 2022 appropriation reserve transfers to cover outstanding obligations for the prior fiscal year.
Question, guys?
Can you walk us through what's being changed?
Sure. So what's being changed is that there is a $30,000 increase for the law department, and this is strictly for legal services. The second one is $110,000 for insurance, and that's due to health costs increases. And the other one is for human resources in the amount of $56,000, and that's for various HR expenses.
Sorry, do you have the specifics on the HR expenses?
I don't have the specific. I could get that for you.
That'd be great. So just on the insurance, that's health insurance?
That's correct. That's health insurance.
Okay. 'Cause we
Councilman, that's risk management.
Sorry, it's risk management?
Yeah, risk management.
Okay.
The health benefit line item is a separate line item. It's the 25 number.
And what in risk management is increasing?
I'll get to details. I'm not sure of the specifics, but it's usually either with settlements or additional workers' comp claims, but I'll make sure.
Okay.
And I think moving forward to be a best practice that the council receives a memo identifying each item. I think that's the best way to proceed with this.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes. For 10-1,
Okay.
I saw that there's was this the emergency temporary appropriation for public safety from 250 to 500,000?
Okay.
Is any of this overtime?
No, this is strictly for contracts.
Just contracts?
Just contracts, operating expense.
Council, as a rule of thumb, when you take a look at the resos, you'll see either OE or SW next to the account numbers. OE is operating, so that's anything from gas charges to equipment and contracts. SW is strictly salaries. That would be overtime, part-time, seasonal, et cetera. Yep.
Any other questions?
Anybody else?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Paul?
Good afternoon, Council President, Council members. I am here for 10.20. You may also see 10.18. Alex Marescu will be presenting that. This is a simple resolution to correct a resolution you've already ruled on. There's a discrepancy in the resolution amount and the check received from Hyacinth. 2 digits were transposed. We did not have the check at the time the resolution was prepared, so it's a minor correction. Thank you.
Shame.
Doing 10.18. Alex?
Good evening, Council President, members of Council. I'm here before you to present 2 resolutions. First resolution is Resolution 23-166, Agenda Number 10-19. This is a small correction of a typographical error in funding that we received from the New Americans campaign in the amount of $12,000, and that is to be corrected in this resolution. The other resolution is number 23-165, agenda number 10-18. This is a resolution seeking the acceptance of $250,000 that my division applied for from congressionally appropriated funds, initially through outgoing Congressman Albio Sires, but with the continued support of a current congressman in our district, Rob Menendez. The project foresees the Division of Immigrant Affairs putting together a platform to support immigrants in accessing English as a second language and other similar professional career development and computer literacy courses, working with municipal actors as well as immigrant organizations throughout the congressional district. That is, those funds will be released sometime in the middle or end of the second quarter of this year from Congress.
The 12,000, is that the incorrect amount or the correct amount for 1019?
For 1019, the correct amount is 12,000.
And what was the error though?
I believe the error was, don't think the error was in, it was not in the figure, but it was in the stated terms of the agreement with the New Americans campaign. And I don't have that. It was such a small typographical error, but I do not think that error was reflected in the number.
In the amount?
Yeah, in the amount. The amount has not changed, Councilman. It's still $12,000. Would have liked if it was 21,000 if it was transposed, but 12,000 is what they offered.
And the error wasn't in the use neither, correct?
No, sir.
If you can, you could just send what the error was just for my records.
Sure, with pleasure. Happy to do so.
This is relating to 1016. It was presented earlier, not by you, Alex or Paul, but it is.
No, it's a separate one.
I know, but it's the Department of Health. I know she left. Because it's incomplete. If you look at it, it was uploaded incorrectly. So whoever's in the Department of Health, if you could take that.
We'll make sure to correct that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
I was like.
You just let me finish the sentence, guys. Let me finish the sentence, please. Just give me a second. It was uploaded incorrectly. That's all. I didn't get to tell the lady, but it's not you.
You didn't get a chance to tell him.
Paul, I'll work with you on the updating the resolution.
No.
We didn't want to put you on the spot, Alex. We was looking out for you. Go ahead, Alex.
I just wanted to see if there are any questions or comments on agenda number 1018. That is the congressional funding. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Mary Ann?
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I am here about agenda number 10-21, resolution 168. I saw you all last council meeting. This is the same item we're bringing back. We are rescinding and resubmitting it. Here's what happened. The moment you were approving it, the portion of our website went down, and it requires the contractor to pay for some plugins. So they sent me an increased amount, and under normal circumstances, we would just add that, because we're allowed to go up 20%. It's a $2,000. Well, it's exactly, before Councilman Gilmore asks me, it's exactly $2,269. So what happened was we let purchasing know, and they said, listen, since it's the beginning of the renewal of the contract, please rescind and resubmit. So that's why I'm here asking for your approval again, so we can fix our website.
What exactly are they fixing?
So we have several features built into the website. It's not a flat website. We allow any number of partners to join. We have over 300 Healthier JC partners. So every partner has 2 users. So over 600 people are able to submit events to our calendar. And what happened was the page went down. I'm not an IT professional, but what I understand is they uploaded the free plugins to kind of update the website, the WordPress website, and it didn't work. So we had to pay for some optimized plugins. So that's the $2,000 cost. And it has hampered our efforts. So I'm really eager to get moving because the website company has worked overnight to help us and they haven't been paid yet this quarter. So.
Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you very much.
Marianne, say hello to mom and pop. They're the best.
I will. Thank you, Councilman.
Lawrence.
Lawrence Barron on behalf of EDC. Good afternoon, Council President and Council members. We have a number of UEZ resolutions before you, starting with 23172. We are really excited about these programs. These are a result of meetings with the administration, council members who actually had time to meet with us with their busy schedules, members of our Board of Trustees, and our own EDC's knowledge of the UEZ and the business community. So these projects will be funded by our fiscal 22 and 23 state allocation. These projects will have to be approved by the state as well. And I'll just list them. We have the marketing, we have micro business real estate, facade improvement, small business incubator, our admin budget, a police program, and I believe we have 2 walk-ons.
Florence,
Yes.
go over one by one. Start with 10.25. This way here, the council will hear it and understand.
Oh, sure. Apologize. We have the UEZ marketing program, and that's for UEZ marketing. It's for 1.65 million. Resolution 23173. I got it. The real estate commercially subsidy grant, that's for 800,000.
Read each title. That probably will help us better, okay? Start at 10.25. That's where, I'm only reading with the paper you signed.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I
Okay, Start at
apologize.
10.25, read the title of the resolution, and then I'll ask the council, do they have any questions? Then they can ask questions, and then we'll go to the next one after that, okay?
Oh, okay, okay. I just wanted to give
Oh,
the
yeah, we know.
council's presentation that it is like our overall UEZ package. But okay, I'm sorry about that.
No, no, no.
10.25, resolution of the municipal council of the city of Jersey City authorizing the submission of an application to the New Jersey Urban Enterprise Zone Authority for enterprise zone assistance funds for UEZ marketing.
Any question on the marketing?
So what
ahead.
is the marketing plan? Because you had mentioned that you had met with council members, but nobody approached my office for any of these conversations. So I'd like to know a little bit more about what the plan.
I apologize. An email did go out to all council members asking for a meeting. We will be hiring a firm. We will hire a firm to come up with a comprehensive UEZ marketing budget, marketing plan.
Okay, so this is money to award a contract to a firm to do marketing for the entire city?
For the entire city, yes.
And this is separate from the See Jersey City plan that just rolled out?
Correct, correct.
When did you send an email out?
After, well, we appear before you after the bike project, the UEZ bike project, I had sent out an email, yeah.
I see that there's a itemized budget regarding, what the 1.65 million is going to be used for, but then on the next page, it talks about the different goals and, part of that was the safety, the public, improving public safety and the police presence. But I don't see that itemized on the page 4 of 5. Yeah.
So Councilman, what it is the overall premise of the 6 million and change is for all the programming, and then each resolution goes through each piece of it, right? So the safety one would be resolution 1030, right? Off-duty policing.
Okay.
So like each piece of it would be separated into these different tranches. You'll see small business incubator, that's 1029, it goes through each piece of it.
Thank you.
So knowing that this is going to be the next round of UEZ funding and that the first round was for the off-duty program, can we get a report of how those monies were spent and where the off-duty programs were put in? Because from what I understand, it was not across the entirety of the city. There was, I understand there are hotspots where it needs to go, but I also know in speaking with 1 or 2 managers of SIDS, there were requests for it and they weren't fully fulfilled. So I just like to get a better.
We could provide that report, but keep in mind, we were limited by the number of available funds for fiscal 22.
Sure.
But we will be able to provide you with that report.
Just, yeah, I'd like to get and look at that, knowing that if this is another round of funding and there's the plan in place, how is it going to be equitable across the city? Because all of our commercial corridors need the assistance, and if there's a plan for a pilot program in one part of the city, that's great. We just would like to get a better comprehensive understanding of it. Also, back to the meeting in February, I do recall receiving that email, but I thought it was to discuss the bike program and not the overall plan for.
It was twofold. It was, and I do apologize if there was confusion, but it was for the bike program and to get input on the UEZ, future UEZ proposals.
And then with the meetings with the special improvement district managers, how many of those were had, and was this culled from that first round of questionnaires?
It was pulled from the first round of recommendations that we received when we met with them last year. Because we are proposing marketing, branding, street maintenance, and staffing support for SIDs with this round of funding. And that's just for hopefully first year. We'll be able to continue every year as the program moves forward.
So this is just part of the fundings for the SID, right? Because I know I received some calls from the SIDs and they was concerned about certain items that was missing. So there's more that you have to present to us. Is this correct? I just want to make sure. Was I supposed to?
Yes, there's a number of proposals here, yes.
SIDs today, yeah.
I think maybe what might be helpful is knowing that this is a multi-year plan and you guys have pulled information from a first and second round of meetings, maybe some sort of presentation to the council, because I know that there used to be quarterly meetings with the SIDs that we could sit in on, and those haven't happened in a couple of years. So, and I understand there was a pause during COVID, but I think that knowing that this is state money coming in, we want to make sure that we're maximizing it also.
Okay,
great. We do hear from other SIDs, but it's not helpful when there's one conversation that we're having and maybe another conversation that they're having with you guys, and brings everybody back in the room together.
Okay, great. We could do that.
Lawrence, is this time sensitive? Can we bring it back at the following meeting?
It's time sensitive because with the state, there is like almost a 45 to 50-day turnaround time for them to approve. So say if hopefully it gets approved this week, I could submit it to the state by the deadline of March 15th, and then it goes before the authority, hopefully May. If it continues to get delayed further, we're going into June, July for actual approval, getting the funds.
Our concern is making sure the SIDs are at the table. I think that's what it is. So even if we vote on this, okay, could we have a meeting with the SID?
Yeah, so
that's their concern. They're not at the table any longer.
And my other question would be then too, to that point, knowing that there's a timely issue, can we make amendments to the proposal once it's been submitted and it comes back to us from the state?
Based on my experience with the state UEZ and the way UEZ is formulated right now, we can.
Okay.
We can. The only thing I won't be able, I'm sorry. The only thing I won't be able to change is that the total project amount I'm proposing in these resolutions, but anything like detail, like line items can be, can be realigned.
Thank you.
So council, I think it's best that we just identify the tranches for this meeting, and then the actual spend downs, we won't facilitate until we have the meeting with each SID. So example with Councilwoman Prinzeri, there's an allotment for a little over $1 million here for off-duty, but we want to allot those to specific locations or hours until we have.
Yeah.
Correct, we could do that.
Better. Any more questions? All right.
Thank you.
Ed?
Council President, the members of the council. I'm here for agenda 10.3 and 10.4, resolution 23-150 and 151. Item 10.3, this is a cancellation of 2022 taxes and part of 2021 and 2022. What happened here was that the Housing Authority issued a deed transferring a particular property, 125 Dwight, in December of 2020. So moving forward, since the Housing Authority is exempt, the following year the property became taxable. So what happened then, after second deed was, a correctory deed was issued by Housing Authority on January 2022, stating that the actual delivery did not happen on the initial date, December 2020. So what happened, we need to cancel the 12 months of 2020 and 1 month of 2022. The second agenda, this refers to the veterans who were awarded 100% total disability, and they were entitled to local tax exemption. The exemptions account for 4,728 on different times when they were awarded by the Veterans Administration.
Any questions? Next one is.
Thank you.
Joe?
Good afternoon, Council President and Council.
Joe.
Good to see you all again. I'm here to present ordinance 3.4 regarding the lead service lines. I'm actually here to update you on the status of one major change per the request of just about all of you. If you may recall, the original draft that was agreed upon between our legal counsel and the city's legal counsel did include a requirement for all homeowners who were, or all property owners with meters, services, to replace their lead service line prior to transfer of a sale of the property, or prior to any major renovation that would require a CO, certificate of occupancy. We've since removed that requirement, and I think you'll agree that the current version in front of you is the correct version, and we should move forward so that we can get started with the project and stay on track to meet the deadline of July 22nd, 2031.
Questions?
Joe, with regards to the credit limit, if someone, the credit limit, I mean, the $10,000 credit only stays with the current homeowner, correct?
The $10,000 credit, first off, the program still needs to be adopted by the JCMUA board. We're waiting for this ordinance to go through, but the way we have it written in draft right now, 10,000 is the maximum that will be reimbursed for someone who carried out the work on their own. Keep in mind that our estimate is actually going to be a little bit lower than that for us to do on the public scale level. However, there is a 25 to 30% prevailing wage built into there that a homeowner wouldn't have to pay. So theirs is going to be significantly cheaper. So we think 10,000 is more than enough to cover an entire service from the main to their meter. And so whoever carried out the work in ownership at the time that the work was completed will be able to get the reimbursement. That's a good question as to whether we would continue title or tie it to title. That might be a legal question that.
Because my concern is, we'll just use the 10,000 for sheer math. If I do this lead pipe remediation, removal or whatever in January, then I decide to sell my property in February, right? Either I'm out 10,000 or I can like sell my portion to the purchaser, so they'll have the credit too. That's what I'm saying. Like, we don't want the homeowner to just miss out on the $10,000.
Yeah, that's a good point. We would have to discuss how that carries, Peter.
Yeah, let's discuss that tomorrow, and if we have to make a change before Wednesday, we can have that.
Sure. We also have time, should it go beyond Wednesday, to discuss in between for the second reading?
Yes, we do. However, if any changes made after Wednesday would have to be insubstantial after it's introduced on first reading. I don't know. I can't say yet whether such change would be insubstantial.
Okay.
Question, and I'm not sure if this is covered in the part, then I just missed it, but I know, for example, when PSE&G and MUA have come through to upgrade lines, they're responsible for the paving or replacement of the roadway. In these instances where a homeowner is doing the upgrade, will MUA still be responsible for paving on that street, or how is that going to work?
So the replacement of the pavement, specifically in the trench that's constructed by their contractor, will also be counted for reimbursement, so long as it's within the 10,000. And we have counted that in our estimates, that the 10,000 should suffice. Now, as the years go on, we may consider writing into the draft, which will be final at the next MUA meeting after the adoption of the ordinance, should it go forward. We will build in a Northeast CPI escalator to try to get that higher. But we need to discuss that because we may not need to. 10,000 there may be enough buffer in what the average cost would be.
Like for the residents, I'll use Jewett Avenue, everyone's favorite example, right? So there was issues where they went in, they replaced lines, they found other problems. They had to wait for the road to cure, and 2.5 years later, they finally got it repaid. So if there's and this is a hypothetical, and I understand you may not be able to answer this question, but let's say there are 3 or 4 houses on a block, they all decide to get the line replacements done at the same time. Now you have 3, 4, 5 tranches on a street, and they're all going to be repaid by independent contractors like that. That doesn't.
It's not ideal. So we would default to the current road restoration ordinance,
okay,
which actually sits with the Department of Infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
I was part of writing that at the time. There's also requirements for infrared pavement repair. However, so long as the base asphalt goes in and it's prepared to the profile needed, minus the top 2 inches, because that's really the cosmetic end. It's the wearing course. We would work with a block such as that to add it to our annual pavement restoration. You might recall that the MUA has their own contract in addition to the Department of Infrastructure. Together we team up with PSE&G also and try to coordinate the best outcome between their free pavement, our additional pavement, and the city's pavement to make sure that we conquer a block at a time in its entirety. It doesn't make sense to do it in pieces, no.
So let me just say something. On Magnolia from Baldwin up to Summit, they're replacing the sewer lines and the water lines. Are they replacing the water lines to the houses too?
So I believe we are replacing to the curb and putting a curb stop there. We will then go back and complete from the curb stop into the meters wherever there's lead. However, we can't do it because it crosses into private property until this ordinance goes through.
All right, now they have to pay for that, or are they getting this free?
No, so anywhere that we do an entire program where we're doing a series of services as part of a main, we go to the curb. If it's copper already and compliant, either way, nobody pays from the piece to the curb, even though they are responsible by ordinance for the ownership of it. In lead instances, we are committed to replacing it completely at no cost. If someone wants to come back where they have copper and we replaced half of it and they want to replace from the curb to the meter, that would be on them. But there really shouldn't be a need, if it's copper already, to replace it beyond what we're going to replace for them at no cost.
Thank you, John.
So the projects in the Heights, like New York Avenue, once this passes, you'd be able to go and replace any lead lines that are visible or?
Correct. Actually, there was concerns, if you recall, 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
The residents were concerned that we were touching the lead and only going to the curb. The reason being is this ordinance is not in place yet. We held it as long as we could, but it's just not fair to that street to have to wait any longer. So we went ahead and did that. There is protocols that the DEP sets forth in case we have to cut the line. It includes flushing. We provide a 6-month Brita filter, even though we really only require the 3-month. It's a $10 difference. It made total sense to go with the higher insurance policy on that.
Is there a way to phase this in like throughout the city instead of it being like, oh, like if the homeowner feels like changing out the lead line, you know, then he'll do it or she'll do it. And then you'll have like one of those bumps in the street and then it's basically left to everyone's own accord. There's no like deadline we can impose in certain areas, just like, or phase it in certain areas in certain ways.
So our aim is to try to let us steer the ship and do entire blocks at a time, right? Okay. It involves a test pit at every property. That's an important note. Every property will be test pitted over their line, as well as internal identification in case there is any change in material from the inside of the home on the way out to the main, especially where we don't have curb stops installed currently on those homes. So by identifying that by test pit, we'll have a really good idea. And in fact, New York Avenue, we already know exactly where lead exists and where it doesn't because we test pitted every single one of those services.
Thank you.
Any others? Okay. Thank you all. Good seeing you.
Sonia.
Good afternoon, Council President and council members. I'm here to present the amendment of the ordinance 3.6, where we would remove the adopt-a-lots out of Health and Human Services and back to the Department of Public Works under my division, which is the Division of Recycling.
We currently have any?
I'm sorry, say it again?
Do we currently have any adopt-a-lots?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have some. Ward A has adopt-a-lots.
We have Mandela's Lot, which is in Ward F. Mandela's Lot. We're in the midst of recreating the lease agreement and agreements for those lots to make them more active by running programs in conjunction with the health department of composting workshops, rebuilding topsoil beds, as well as gardening workshops.
So with it moving from HHS back into DPW, will any of the requirements for people who want to be part of an adopt-a-lot be changing, or will all the requirements stay the same?
The requirement will stay the same overall with just a little tweaking of what the city will be giving them versus what they're asking for now. We'll be working on the lease agreement. If you like, I can send you a rough draft of it. So if you want to add any input to it before we have the leasees sign it, we can do that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ray? Oh, he left? We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that when we get there. Okay. Let's calm down. Let's talk about it. Come on, Maury. Come on, come on. We'll get to that one. That's a hot topic. Oh, you was with Sonia? Okay, Maynard, come on.
Maynard.
Afternoon, Council President, council members. I have two resolutions in front of you.
I'll do probably the easiest one first. First is resolution number 23-188, item number 1041. It's a resolution providing local support for Strictly CBD LLC to operate a Class 5 retail cannabis business located at 394 Community Avenue. They have 2 MOUs in place where they're donating $10,000 to Community Treasures as well as $10,000 to Kismet of Kings. It was approved by the CCB on November 17th, 2022, and by the Planning Board on March 28th, 2022. Questions?
Yeah, I was a little confused. So when they donate to the nonprofits, those are one-time fees, correct?
Most of the donations on the MOU are annual donations.
Yeah, that's what okay, all right. All right.
I received a call before from a young lady, and most of these things should be pulled because there's such disclarification on what is going on. 600 feet within the school, this, that, and everything. I mean, it's gotten out of hand and it's not really clearly being presented. And a lot of people are getting a little annoyed with this.
I think there's some confusion just on, at what point does the pin go on the map? And because there's so many different levels of approval within the city, which is creating some of the confusion, but we're trying to clarify that as best.
Yeah, well, these things should be held off until this is all clarified, because a lot of people are really getting annoyed with this. Especially when you put them in certain areas and residential areas and people do not want them.
You probably received a letter from the board attorney and from the board members.
We just got it.
Oh, okay, you just got it today? Okay.
Probably didn't read it yet.
Okay.
What does it say, Joyce?
He's not even putting the cap, just hold off on it.
Hold off on it.
Hold off on it right now. That's what he's saying.
So Maynard, what triggers if it's annually or it's a one-time donation?
Sorry,
What triggers when the donations are annually versus one time?
just so you know, Councilman, the MOUs is not a requirement by ordinance. So it's not something we can require at all. It's, it's.
Also, it's the establishment.
Yes, it's establishing these MOUs.
All right.
So it's part of their give back to the community. It's not a requirement by ordinance.
Maynard, do you know offhand if this location is close to any other location that's been approved or within the 600 feet?
Actually, it's not. It's the closest location is approximately 1,600 feet away.
Okay.
And that particular location is still in the pending status. It's on, it's 495 Community Avenue, and that hasn't been approved by City Council yet.
Okay. And then I guess my other question, because this came up and I don't know the answer. When we're considering schools, we're just considering like Jersey City Public Schools or like grammar schools, high schools. Are we considering daycares a school or no?
Daycares are not considered a school.
Okay.
Okay. Next on the agenda is Resolution 23-189. It's the item number 10.42. It's a resolution providing local support for JC Elements LLC to operate a Class 5 retail cannabis business at 365 Central Avenue. They also have 2 MOUs where they're committing $2,500 to the Anti-Violence Coalition of Hudson County and the Hogarth Korea International of New Jersey. They were approved by the Planning Board on March 28th, 2022, and by the CCB on February 6th, 2023.
And knowing that there are a number of locations that have come up on Central Avenue, how close is this to the ones that are either already approved or are pending?
Actually, less than 600 feet to 2 other locations.
Less than 600 feet?
Yes.
It's left.
Yeah. So, I mean, I haven't.
We have one at 365 Summit Avenue, and council, you have approved 391 Central Avenue and 404 Central Avenue.
What city?
think we should amend the 600-foot rule and also put a cap, like I've said in previous council meetings, so.
Yeah, that's not going to be resolved at the moment, but I do think to the lawyer's point of the Cannabis Control Board, and as a number of council people, including myself, have echoed here up on the dais also, we need to consider just pumping the brakes a little bit until we can figure out where exactly the pin in the map when that triggers, because you have planning board, you have CCB, you have council, and we each have specific roles, but it seems like they're not really communicating to each other well. Would probably be the quickest way for me to sum it up.
Right, I agree. I think that's why the request came from the board at the last meeting, where there was an application for a central L that was denied because of the number of applicants there.
The problem is we've already approved locations that are already within 600 feet of each other, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, it just, obviously, for these two applications, it's up to us what to do. So to Rich's point, if the council wants the table, that's something we can do. I would just say in the kind of bigger picture, there's clearly questions that we have to work through. I'm a little concerned by the suggestion of a 6-month timeline because that is an extended period, and I think it raises questions about who got to go first. But maybe a committee can form, either a committee of the council or administration or something, and maybe have a shorter timeline, a 2-month process to try to work through where we're at and try to come up with a fair set of rules. As Councilman Saleh has proposed a different set of rules, a number could be considered, but something that gives us a fair, neutrally applied set of rules. So a short pause I would be okay with. 6-month pause is a long pause. It gives me some concern.
I think one of the reasons that may have been an extended request for 6 months is just the timeline of approvals from the state have taken a long time.
Can an applicant get, for class 5, can an applicant get state approval first? Is that a different class? Because some people,
Conditional approval.
Well, there's a conditional approval from the state if you submit your application, but that's not really tied to a location. Not tied to the location until they receive the support resolution from the municipality that they're in. You can actually apply and not even indicate what city you're going in.
Challenges. Residents of the city, and then you got others who are not residents of the city that came by, that passed. It seems like it's so fair. But now you have applicants that really live in the city. Now we are playing pause on it. It's always like the little guy always get, bad end of the stick. So I guess we have to figure out what we can do here, because we can't allow the little guy to get the bad end of the stick. We just can't. That's, it's not what this is intended for. And so with all of that said, I think we need to just have a meeting with them, because they are the ones that started this thing about putting a pin in it. Because before, when we drafted this ordinance, there was no questions about, the 600 feet. After they put the pin in it, then it's, saying that it's a business after planning put the pin in it. That was not clear when we drafted this. So it wasn't clear.
Do you have like a list of like the actual homegrown people that are actually Jersey City residents? Like, for example, this that's going up in Jersey Avenue, in Central Avenue, it's a homegrown Latino people that, it's going to be, and they've been waiting for this for a while, and here we are, like, putting a pause on them,
That's
right?
what I'm saying. The little guy, this is when we're doing it. The little guy is getting the one that's getting hit with this. But then the big guys, I remember they were always here.
Yeah, we do have a list.
And also they have the money to get through fast.
We can provide you.
Can you provide the list of like the actual Jerseys, not the people from Boston that came here 3 months ago and say like, we love Jersey City, but like the actual Jersey City people?
We can supply a list
Let me ask the law department this.
Okay.
Okay. Would we be in trouble if we say you have to be a Jersey City resident first, anything like that? Is there some type of clause we can put in here Because, you know,
In the context of a application to appear before the council on a cannabis application?
I mean, I don't know. I'm asking, what can we do? We stuck here. That's why we need the law department. We stuck and we need to figure out how we can help the little guy. So I'm not a lawyer. I don't know, Peter, but I just know at this point, we have to figure out how we can help the little guy. That's what law does. It amends, okay? We are stuck up here because we know one of these applications is a little guy.
And we are working on revisions that we're getting prepared to circulate. When we have that ready this week, I believe.
Should be this week.
We should have a draft this week. We'll circulate. We'll take notes and input from everybody to try to address concerns that people have. And then we can further the conversation from there. But, you know, there are some inconsistencies here. I think, you know, the phrase "we're building the plane as we're flying" it definitely applies here. And I think it's time to make some repairs to the plane that we're flying.
Can we prioritize the minority-owned social equity applicants and make sure that they put that in the ordinance?
I think provided that's consistent with the mandate we've gotten from the state and also the locality, the resident requirement or preference, you might want to call it, we'll see if we can incorporate that as well.
But my concern is even with that I was finding out, because I know when I had went to one of the meetings back then, when we first started, I asked the question, what percentage must a minority have? Because some of them only have 5% and they still was considered minority. That's my concern, because then they can partner with anybody. You know what I'm saying? They can partner with anyone, and it could be a minority, and the minority only have 5%. So in the long run, you can just, they can buy you out quick. But, you know, present an application, you know, oh no, we are minority owned, but they only got 5%. So I asked that question back then because I saw it coming, because I knew they would do something like that. I remember it clear.
Yeah, I think once again, whatever's consistent with state law, I think we can implement.
Okay.
I mean, and I think to that point and to some of the other points made, the concern is that because Jersey City is one of the only municipalities in the state that does not have a cap, we're going to see more and more like multi-state operators coming into Jersey City, giving the 5 or 10% face, and then moving along the next year. And what's happening is that since it's taken time for the smaller people, like the smaller groups to build the capital, to move forward, they're now ending up last in line when, you know, hindsight, you know, there should have been a vetting process in place that could maybe prioritize applications as opposed to putting in a cap or something like that. Because at this point, a cap is like, maybe we can do it, maybe we can't. But no, Maynard, you said last time we talked about the cap, there was like 55 applications in the queue waiting for approval.
As of right now, there are 41 applications that have been approved by the CCB.
Okay. Okay. Because I mean, I think that like getting to this point, like where, you know, we didn't know what to expect. Now we're seeing what's happening, and the concern I think is that it's starting to move faster and it's making people uncomfortable. And even when we had the conversation about the nonprofits, we'd seen the same handful come first. We had the conversation. We've since broadened that, which was great. That was the right thing to do. But now we're seeing it come on the other end where, you know, they're clustering, right? First it was the downtown cluster, then it was the Heights. Now it's West Side Avenue. Now it's Municipal Avenue going into the Junction. And, you know, we need to figure this out to be fair to all the other people that would like to participate.
And I'll just add, as far as the cap goes, the city could implement a cap at any time. And in fact, like you pointed out, councilperson, I think we are one of the very few municipalities that does not have a cap.
Should have capped it. Okay.
Yeah, but I also think, for me, everyone, I guess it's common knowledge that we need a cap, but is there any way we can, like, once it's capped, right, is there any way we can create legislation to essentially say that the people that's on a waiting list, you may have a dispensary that go out of business for whatever reason it is, can we prioritize the waiting list to say minority, Jersey City people, like, can we do that? Are we within our right to do that?
We'll check the state law and make sure there's no procurement issues related to that or anything in the state cannabis statutes, but we can look to implement that as well.
I know for 1042 that the applicants are homegrown, whites, minority owners, Latinos. And part of the hardest thing about establishing a cannabis retail establishment is site control, which is why, once you have a space, you want to, that's literally the hardest thing for the applicant to get. And a lot of landlords either don't want it or they like to rake them over the coals, like with the rent, and just like do a cannabis surtax. So that's why, having learned all this, going through all the motions and hearing from the people, I think we should limit the distance down to 200 feet or 250, and then limit the number in the commercial areas. I don't mind if they're sort of clustered together, but there should be a cap so that not all of them are cannabis establishments. And that's just my take.
I'm not sure the timeline but on the planning board, it said no class 5 retailers were approved yet. Being 600 feet away from the entry door of the one on Central Avenue. I guess that has changed.
Could you repeat your question, Councilwoman?
In the documents for 1042, under where they had the meeting with the planning board, it says no class 5 retailers were approved yet by the cannabis board. So there was nothing within 600 feet from their location that they chose.
All the resolutions that we put in front of the council have planning board approval. We never present them beforehand.
No, I understand that, but it's saying that there was no one 600 feet away from the main door, and now there is.
Yeah, I think that's.
Because we approved like the week before or 2 weeks before we voted on it.
Maybe at the time of the
At the
planning board's
planning board
approval,
was
that could be very possible, yes.
So since the council has set the precedent of approving others, even though they were less than the 600 feet, what does that put us in? Maybe that's more of a question for legal. What predicament does that put us into now change that course?
Yeah, I would just, point out to the council has, wide discretion. I mean, these are resolutions of local support. And, the council can consider any number of factors when voting on that. I think as Councilman Saleh pointed out, the local, community members, the council can, determine community support is one of the factors that can be considered. And I think, that this would be another factor to be considered too. If there's, too many in a certain area, the council feels that that is overburdening an area, that can have a say in the council's vote.
All right. Okay, so we have to figure out what we're going to do with this one. Is a local person. We just received the letter from the lawyer on the cannabis board. I guess we need to just kind of put a halt to everything and have a meeting to see exactly, to get clarity on how we're going to move forward. That's probably the best thing to do. All right? No, the meeting will be sooner because of all that. You can't hold people up in the, you just can't hold people up. It's a whole process to go through this. Stayed on down. We don't want to hold people up, but we need to meet as soon as possible, and planning needs to be there. Because that's where the discrepancy came in at, when they said that they considered 600 feet after they put the pin in. Should have discussed that before, and it was not. And then there should be a limit, no doubt, because you don't want, you don't want it everywhere. You just don't. Competition is out. So I guess we'll proceed. Don't bring us no more.
Okay.
All right?
I'm fine with that.
Until then, all right?
Thank you.
That's it. Okay?
Please.
That's it. All right. Barker, come and tell us something good about infrastructure.
Got it. Only good news from me. Good evening, Council President, members of the council. I have 2 items today. They're both easy ones. The first one is an ordinance, agenda item 3.5, ordinance number 23-023. This is in conjunction with a new development at the corner of Municipal Avenue in Arlington that was recently built. They built a curb extension as a part of their development. And so the side of the street that the curb extension was built on, which is the east side, the east side, right, is where parking was previously permitted, but now needs to be prohibited and then moved over to the other side of the street. So just making a change in regulation on which side of the street the parking is allowed.
Just one comment. It looks like there might be a typo in the title because it says West Side Avenue from Grand to Communipaw.
Yeah, it should be the
Oh,
West Side Avenue, so it's on the west side of Grand and
the
Community.
avenue, yeah.
That's when I was looking, I was like, this street don't go to West Side and Community.
Understood.
Yes.
Sorry, I promised an easy one.
No, this is a relatively easy one in a sense that
Yeah.
it makes the community more uniform and it gives more space for the traffic.
Okay, and then I have a resolution, agenda item 10.23, resolution 23-170. This is the renewal of a cooperation agreement with the JCRA related to the Morris Canal Greenway project. We have entered into an agreement with the JCRA 2 years ago to sort of share the responsibilities of the build out of the design, the engineering, and the build out of this project. So this is just renewing that agreement. We're sharing the costs. The JCRA's component is responsibility for environmental remediation in 2 different locations, the Country Village portion of the Greenway, as well as the Whitlock Cottage portion. And then our department's responsibility is tied to construction and construction management of the Greenway. We were awarded a $5.2 million grant from the New Jersey DOT for the construction. That's all. Thank you.
I was gonna say, when's construction slated to begin?
We are just waiting on bid authorization. So we got some bids back from vendors just just waiting to select and then award. So hopefully in the next month or 2.
Okay, thank you.
Tyrone?
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
I'm here before you before 2 items. Item 4.2, ordinance 23-017. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 3 of the Jersey City Code, Article X, assigning enforcement of Lead Hazard Control Assistance Act to the Division of Housing Preservation.
Yes, this is the state mandate, and John, I may need your help on this one. So this was the state mandate that was passed down, correct? Now, the problem I have with this is that it was passed down about a year ago, correct? With a deadline on it?
It was August, Councilman. I believe it was in August. And then the deadline was 2 years from August.
It was
July. 2 years from July 2020.
Now, at that juncture, who was essentially responsible for, I guess, rolling out the program? Because initially, where was the program when the mandate came down? How did it just sit somewhere with like no one acting?
It was in legal review, and then we were taking a look at the best way to proceed. It does have no administrative fees, so it's a cost that the city incurs 100%. So we're working through those pieces of it before we enacted.
And I was under the impression that Mr. Richardson, your division,
Housing Preservation.
that you guys had the inspectors to do this already.
No, we do not. We only have, as of right now, 3 inspectors. And we actually just got a 3rd one back. So the inspectors that we have are actually, we would need more inspectors to get this done because the inspectors that we have currently would not be able to facilitate this with just these 3 inspectors.
See, the problem is at the first reading, council was told that this division already have the infrastructure and the people to handle it. Now you're saying you need to hire more people to carry out the task.
Yeah, so Housing Preservation has the technology and has all the listings of all the rent rolls and all that type of stuff. So it's more efficient for it to live there. They do have 3 active inspectors that have jobs already that they wouldn't fulfill this. So we spoke about hiring temporary inspectors that once they get the certification, we have somebody from the state do the class. It's like 4 hours or 5 hours. It's not that hard. And we'd hire them seasonal to do the work. This way, it doesn't create additional layers of civil service jobs that we'd have to keep them. So it'd be part-time work for city residents that go through this 4 or 5 hour course.
I understand that, but my problem is that either someone misspoke or misrepresented the capacity that this division had to carry out the task. And well, I know at least me, when I first read through, I was like, oh, this is something that, HHS should be doing. And then, people are saying, well, we already have the infrastructure, they have the people. So, Mr. Ritz, how many additional people will we need to carry out this actual program?
So the numbers that I received was we were looking at about roughly 64,000 units. That's what HHS gave to me. The calculations I gave was just for the inspectors to do that in 2 years. I calculated about 13 inspectors would be needed. Well, of course, we're under the gun now, so we don't have those 2 years. That would be, so you would pretty much be looking at least 20 inspectors to get this done by the time this is due.
Where are the funds coming for all these inspectors?
We know that ain't gonna happen. We know it's gonna happen. We know we.
Are we hiring, is the state giving us money for 20 inspectors or?
No, so what we'll do, Councilman, is we impose fees, and then the fees would be self-liquidating moving forward. But the initial startup would be through the city's budget, and then we'd continue it with fees moving forward.
Yeah, so would it be easier if we just contract this out? I'm just thinking, because if I'm just, we out here, we want to make sure we cover everything, because we done messed up with the CCB stuff, so we must throw everything else out here now. We got nothing to lose here, right? Could we contract it? Like his department, could he contract the third party to help him out?
We actually looked at the state statute, which gave this mandate to all the municipalities. Paraphrasing what the state statute says, but it says if a municipality has the capacity or has inspectors who can do home inspections, then it must remain in-house. I don't know why they drafted it that way, but this is what it is. As far as the supplementing the inspections, I don't know if that would apply, but you can take a look at that as well.
A small thing, I don't know if it's going to make a difference in the big scheme of things, but could maybe we prepare a resolution urging the state to fund what is functionally an unfunded mandate? They do have a $10 billion surplus. I understand that's just one turnpike extension, but they do have it. So we should ask for them to fund this program that they think, which I think they're right, but they think is crucial to the health of the state, but they obviously didn't put the money behind their mandate. So maybe we could prepare a resolution to do that.
Yeah, we'll have someone reach out. We can work with you on the wording for that.
Thanks.
My concern is.
Right away.
Well, I mean,
yeah. What's the timeline?
Next, it has to be on the next agenda. You're going to send that actively.
My concern is that if Director Richardson, you're saying we need anywhere from minimum 13, maximum 20 inspectors to do this work. I don't even know if we have that to do like quality of life inspections. So, I think that looking to a contract source for the remainder of what we can't do in-house makes sense, and or at least just to run the numbers, because if we're looking to onboard inspectors, then we're hiring people temporarily, and then we're, it just.
It's contracted.
It just sounds messy to me.
Let's see if we can contract out somewhere. You hate to hire somebody and then let them go.
You're only hiring them for this. I hope that's even disclosed, because you don't want people to think that.
Well, this is still conversation going here, so we can see, we can still discuss this, okay? Because we just got to figure it out, how we have to handle it, since it's a state mandate. And maybe we need to reach out to our state partners and ask them, could they advocate for funding for staffing to handle this, because it is a time sensitive. Let's see what they say. If not, then we just have to see and ask them, could they put a clause in there that we can contract out?
I know. It was,
Right?
is Elizabeth or someone had the same mandate and they put the onus on the homeowners and then they reimbursed them or something like that?
I know Newark has written in their ordinance, they put the mandate on the homeowners. I don't see a reimbursement, but there's some type of grant that they received that it's not directly, so it doesn't considerably cover everybody, but that's what Newark did.
They put it on the homeowner.
Right, but that doesn't line up with what the state requires.
Right, it doesn't.
Right.
Doesn't. This is a state mandate with this lead, you know. But we discuss it more. Okay, thank you. Anything else, Cheryl? That's it?
I have 4.3, so we tabling that too, or it's around the same issue?
The same issue? Okay. BA, it's the same issue?
Council President, you, at the last meeting, you wanted some language to be added to the cost, regarding the cost for the inspection. So we made it clear that it's payable by the property owner in the amount of $200 per unit for the inspections.
Right.
And then I provided those changes to Sean. And then there was also another change in a slight error, a clerical error. It should say the assistance fund. So it's an additional $20 fee that has to go back to the state. They have a special fund for this lead-based program. So it's an additional $20 fee for that fund.
Yeah, and the reason why I wanted it for the property owners, because if you're dealing with buildings, remember, those are residents in there. They're not the owners of those buildings. So you don't want it to be put on the residents that rent there. That's why.
On the homeowners.
It's not just so, it's people who own the buildings. That's what they're going into, Rich. It's not like 1 and 2 family homes. This is buildings here that they're going into. Yeah. Correct. Who don't live there. You're really trying to protect the residents here in this one.
Council President, with those said changes, I think we should keep 4.3 moving forward, just because that would be a funding outlet for this mandate.
We can do, we don't have to do both of them together, right? We can.
No.
Okay, that's what I was, okay. All right. All right.
All right, so 4.3, ordinance 23-018. This is the ordinance supplementing chapter 160, section 10, establishing a fee schedule for lead-based hazard inspections of rental units pursuant to PL 2021 C182, and amending chapter 254, property maintenance, to include the registration of properties for compliance under the Lead Hazard Control Assistance Act.
This is the 200.
Right, this is the $200 fee, correct?
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Hey, anyone else out here? Did I miss someone? Nobody gave me another paper. Okay, Sean, take it from the top.
Okay, but just to piggyback up on that ordinance, like Sir Wilson said, that's going to be a slight amendment, which is not a significant change to the ordinance, and that will be stated on the record by our Corporation Counsel at Wednesday's meeting. So.
Right.
Okay. All right, so we're going to take it from the top. So the only first reading ordinance that was not touched on was item 3.1, City Ordinance 23-019 is an ordinance establishing the Jersey City Municipal Construction Board of Appeals.
John, we're going to carry this, right?
Wait. Let him get it out, Rich. Let him get it out. Let him get it out. Gotcha.
That's why Ray's not here right now.
Go ahead.
Councilman X ready to go home, so we'll make sure Ray's here for the second reading. So I figured I would just give a little overview for the council. So the Jersey City Construction Board of Appeals, it's a smaller one of our boards that we have established in the late 80s. Basically, as it says, it reviews the appeals and provides any issuances of fines for violations or upholds or reverses decisions made by construction department. So a few issues with this. It's not just a Jersey City issue, it's a statewide issue. You need very particular certifications to serve on this board. You have to be a Jersey City resident, You have to make sure that your professional work outside the board is not conflicted with the work inside the board. And you run into that in every city in New Jersey, whether it be contracting, subcontracting, consulting on a construction site. And, we know the volume of construction we have here in Jersey City, that most of the times you are going to run into that, or you're going to run into professionals that don't want to necessarily serve on the board for free, that have these professional licenses and they don't want to give up potential income on their personal side. So what does that mean? That means that we end up with members that serve on the board for decades at a time. And not saying anybody did anything wrong. I thank them for their service, but it just becomes a situation where it becomes stale. And we've seen majority of the boards in the county of Hudson now go to the county's board. So that's what would happen. Once this gets dissolved, it goes to the county board, which we do have representation on. Ray Meyer is actually the chairman of that board. And basically what we would do is be following the other cities and basically just providing it to the county to avoid any conflicts or redundant services or potential future instances of issues. So it's really just an efficiency thing. It doesn't have anything to do with anybody that's on the board now. There's no problems. It's just a matter of administrative priority.
So question. So knowing that the concern was that at the municipal level, there are conflicts of interest. Now, Ray Meyer is the chair of the board for the county. So anything that comes from Jersey City, he may be the litigator, the writer of that. So he will always have a conflict of interest, no? Or almost always?
In most cases, he would not hear anything that he signed off on directly. But what I meant is that we have representation from him and understanding, why we came to certain determinations here from an administrative perspective, not necessarily his vote.
And then this actually is sort of a budgetary question. My understanding is that our current construction board of appeals in the city meets during the day. The county board meets at night. So anybody that's not management that is going to be called to that board may incur overtime.
They don't get paid.
Well,
if a staff member goes, and knowing that we have concerns about our budget, I guess this is just coming from that fiscal responsibility place. So let's say we have somebody who's a supervisor, they're not management, and they have to go because they are, it's an arbitration board, right? So they're going to present the case. They're there for 3, 4, 5 hours. Yep. Now the city is paying them overtime as opposed to having it be part of their scope of work during the day.
Yeah, so if it's management, that's obviously not the issue. And if it's supervisors union or the local unions, we have the authority to change their hours for that day if that becomes a situation. So we have the authority within 24 hours to say, you have a construction board meeting on Thursday, your hours are 12 noon to 8 p.m. or 7:30 p.m. You could always change your hours. I mean, there is an event that there's possibility that we would run into overtime if they have scheduled inspections in the morning and they have to appear at night. But if it's foreseeable, we're able to control that.
How many municipalities have their own in-house construction, or not in-house, but have their own municipal construction board of appeals? Are we the only one? Are we like one of 6?
So most of the larger municipalities in Hudson County, being Bayonne, Caucus, various ones, have all sourced to the county. There are a few small towns in North Hudson that combined into one. So it's called a North Hudson board. So it's North Hudson board, Jersey City, and the county.
And then maybe you can't answer this question, and then this is my last one, let somebody else go.
Oh, go ahead.
But in the case of if you need to have an emergency hearing, like how, like, do they often have emergency hearings? Because I know, like, knowing the pace of construction here, and not saying that we wanted to keep pace or slow down, but just like if something needs to be heard, do they have to wait? Is it going to take them 3 weeks? Like, wait.
Yeah, I'll find out from the county. Okay. I'll take a look at what we do as far as emergencies and then see what they do and do a little comparison before Wednesday.
Thank you.
John, we have somebody here from the board, and I also have a letter here from Anthony Catania, which I'm going to give to each council person tomorrow. And this should not be done. We should keep it in-house. If the county can find people to work on their board, we could find people to work on our board. We shouldn't be giving anything to the county. We gave up so much over the years to the county, and it's a shame. And we're losing control of a lot of things.
Someone else?
Yeah, John, so is it is it because the board in Jersey City is obsolete? Is it a capacity thing? Like, what's the?
It's just the direction that the municipalities have been going in. We're just actually at the end of the list there. I mean, most of the smaller ones have already done this.
Small ones.
Is it saving us
Smaller,
money
Bayonne's
at
not
all? Are we saving any money at all? As a
The
municipality?
members serve as.
Volunteer.
Like anything, nothing? So, okay.
I mean, there's a board attorney that would be saving on, but.
No, you don't want to put them up if we get this.
Do any other board
You don't want-
members on the Hudson County Board have a conflict like Ray Myers?
Right.
I believe it's just Ray, but I'll find out. I don't know them personally.
No, the only reason why I don't want to bring him because he's public and this is normally city business here. That's why I won't bring anybody from the public up here. But we all did receive the letter from Tony. He did send a letter out, not only Tony, there was a couple of others I received also concerning this board here. But I heard you said, John, that they meet in the daytime, this board, correct? The zone.
Our board meets during the day and the county meets at night.
So why can't we just change our hours first? I'm just saying, is there other things that we could do before we try to dissolve this board? Because it's a concern for us, you know, especially with all the development that we're doing. And we can't control the county. Once it goes over, that's it. We can't control it. We can't have a say. They're gonna say this is our rules and you know, we won't have a say. And then Ray, you know, he chairs it. Just doesn't look good for us just giving it over like that.
I think it's better that I provide some
Yeah.
data to the council, including, I don't really think the timing is an issue, Council President. I think it's just, you know, some of the contractors work during the day and they prefer to go at night, and some are done during the day and they don't want to come back at night. So I don't think that's necessarily a determination factor. I do think that Councilman Prinzari and yourself bring up good points about how many appeals there are, when they're heard, and how many emergencies there are. So I'll make sure I have that information before we come back.
We carry this, John, and maybe have a closed session on this.
Well, it's an ordinance, Councilman, so I'm just asking to introduce it, and I said we'll bring Ray back and data before we take any formal action on it.
We should, and John, we shouldn't be giving anything.
If we table it, it doesn't exist.
Okay, so you want the conversation, so.
Yeah.
One quick follow-up. Can you explain to us either now or later just how the Hudson County board members are appointed?
Sure. Yeah, I'll get that information. Yeah. I believe it's through the commissioners, but I'll follow up. Yeah.
No, because if we giving it up, I mean, I think this is something we really should really think about because you're letting your part of your authority go that the city has, especially with the much development we're doing. Just allowing some other, you know, entity to do it. We won't have say in it. You know, we won't. You pass it over, that's just it. So you got to be careful because our residents, you know, rely on us to give answers. Go ahead.
Okay, before I move on to the second readings, I just wanted to touch on 3.5. I know that there was a mistake pointed out, and I didn't quite hear, if I heard correctly, if I think it's on Arlington Avenue on the west side of Arlington Avenue. Is that what it should read?
Yes. Okay. Oh, you printed this, Sean? Because you just got a new contract, Sean. I don't know.
That's a good question, Councilman, so I'll answer that. So those ordinances were presented from the Department of Infrastructure, and so I placed it on the agenda as is. So I'll make sure I correct it. All right. Item 4.1, City Ordinance 23-016 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, Section 332-9, Stop Intersections, to designate various unsignalized intersections as multi-way stop control intersections. And 4.2 and 4.3 were touched on earlier. Our public speakers, we have 6 at the moment. Any questions or comments on petitions and communications, items 6.1 through 6.12? Hearing none, there are no officer communications. Any questions or comments on report of directors, 8.1? We have our claims. And on to the resolutions. Items 10.1 through 10.4 were touched on earlier. Item 10.5, City Resolution 23-152 is a resolution honoring Pastor Jiva L. Richardson on the occasion of elevation to bishop. Item 10.6, Resolution 23-153, a resolution appointing James J. Carroll as a member of the Jersey City Insurance Fund Commission. Item 10.7, City Resolution 23-154 is a resolution of the Jersey City Municipal Council commemorating the Jersey City Public School District Science Fair held on January 18, 2023 at Liberty Science Center. Item 10.8, City Resolution 23-155 is a resolution authorizing an agreement with Network Management Solutions for providing maintenance and support services for the Division of Public Safety, computer infrastructure, and related systems without public bidding.
Sir, can I pause you?
Yep.
Or can we maybe pause on all these public safety communications resolutions because they don't have anyone here to discuss?
Yeah, so I was just calling off from the construction boards. Yeah, I was going to recommend that those three items are tabled until the next meeting. Withdrawn, rather. Yep. Yeah. So I'll say that Wednesday on the record.
Very good, thanks, John. So items 10.8, 10.9, and 10.10 will be withdrawn at the meeting. Very good. Items 10.11 through, excellent, through 10.39 were touched on earlier. Item 10.38. Item 10.39, Resolution 23-186 is a resolution ratifying the award of a professional service agreement with the law firm of Peruzzi, McDermott, Mastro, and Murphy to represent the city of Jersey City in various specified employment-related administrating proceedings. Item 10.40, Resolution 23-187 is a resolution authorizing the settlement of the action entitled Ross Charlotte versus the City of Jersey City, docket number HUD-L-690-20.
And as always, I'll circulate the memorandum tomorrow. If there are any questions about this, I can answer them offline.
Okay, with that being said, may I have a motion to adjourn
Second.
at 5:50 p.m.? So the motion to adjourn was made by Councilperson Prinzary, seconded by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to adjourn at 5:50 p.m., all council members present by acclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
We are out of here at 5:50 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone present and everyone watching at home. Please stay safe and remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Have a great night.
Come on, Denise, let's go.
That was the birthday celebration. Friday. Chicken.
So many grades.
Hey, 34? Yeah. Oh, my God, I wish I was still 30.